Another month down, another Q&A video. These are the videos where I could talk about some other stuff, some other topics that I haven't hit in regular videos, either on here or on GameRank. So if you are new to this channel, what I do is I get questions from this comment section. So essentially, leave comments down here for my next Q&A video. I also get them from YouTube membership and Patreon backers, so thank you guys for having my back. But new setup, still kind of a work in progress. It looks okay though. For now, it's fine. Eventually, you'll see what I'm cooking up over here. So let's get into the first question, shall we? This is from Datora on Patreon, who says, do you think that the PS5 handheld will be able to be used for exclusive titles as a second screen a la DS or Wii U, homebrew maybe eventually for emulating those consoles? Yeah, so it's funny you asked this because now, as of the time of making this video, we know all the information about the thing. It's called the PlayStation Portal. I keep calling it PlayStation Portable, but it is certainly not. It is just for streaming your PlayStation 5 over internet to this device. That's it. It's very simple. It's very limited. And, you know, like I said on the Friday show, like it's, you know, it doesn't have Bluetooth. You have to use like the PlayStation Link, and it's for a certain type of player. So options are good. More consumer options for how to play your games are good, even if this device necessarily isn't for me. I like remote play once in a while, but I'm not like a big streaming games type of guy. But the fact that you're not even doing cloud streaming or anything like that on it, you're just streaming your PlayStation console to this. There's that. But I think what I will say is that it's interesting Datora brought up like homebrew and emulation stuff. I want to get this thing and hack the shit out of it. I'm really hoping that the community is going to be able to do some nasty stuff with this thing, because just as a device construction, I like it. I like the simple screen. I like the PS5 DualSense controllers on the side. Like, it just seems like it's nice little hardware, and I'd like for it to do more. You know, there's just people out there, weird handheld freaks like us, like we'll take a handheld and just put stuff on it. You know, I loved messing with my Steam Deck a lot, but there's weirder devices that you can mess with. And I'm just hoping that this like PlayStation Portal will be one of them. I want to play Portal on my PlayStation Portal. I'm going to hack it to do that. Gloombot says, did you catch any of the movies that came out this summer? If so, what was your favorite or least favorite? And since more is on the docket this year, what else are you looking forward to? Personally, I want to go see Talk to Me. I'm also super excited for Dune. I love that director guy. Well, Dune's been delayed until next year, so there's that. But for me, yeah, hell yeah. I've been seeing a lot of movies. I haven't been making as much movie content, but a big thing for me was I did the Barbenheimer thing. I was thankful and grateful and fortunate enough to be able to take off an entire day of work just to go to the movies, which was nice. It was also really cool to see a lot of people going to the movies. I like going to the theater and seeing a movie. I don't like people. They're annoying. So it's like a very like conflicted, contradictory thing for me, but I love the experience of a big screen. Like, I identify with Nicole Kidman in the AMC thing. But yeah, that was a good time. Went all out, like went ate and had drinks like in between and stuff like that. Barbie was a good time. It was fun. It was really funny. I really liked everything they did with Ken. I thought it was really interesting. I don't know, like too much to say about it really. I also really like Simu Liu. And he was great. Michael Cera doing his Michael Cera thing was really nice to see. And Margot Robbie's like a given at this point. But what I really, really liked was Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was incredible. I also really got a kick out of Oppenheimer, knowing that there were people like, you know, younger people or like online people or anybody, just let's go do Barbenheimer. Let's go see Barbie. Let's go see the amount of like normie and like weird or dumb people that stumbled into Oppenheimer and saw this incredible, like horrifying movie is good. I think it's a net benefit that this movie did so well and so many people went to see it alongside with Barbie, because like it poses interesting questions and says things about a period of history that we knew about. Like I learned about in school vaguely, but then I learned more about it through like playing Metal Gear Solid and stuff like the Manhattan Project and everything. So it was always kind of just this lore, this myth where it's like, oh yeah, a bunch of guys got together and they did that. They dropped a massive, terrifying bomb on multiple cities. And then that was that. And yeah, but there's so much more to it. And I think it's important for it to not be a myth and to actually be in films and shown as guys in rooms talking about it, coming up with it. Like it makes it more realistic because it was a real thing that happened. And Cillian Murphy, like getting his time to like be a lead role in a movie is great. The guy is fantastic. I thought he did a really, really good job. The best scene in the movie, well, there's two really good scenes in the movie, like my two favorite scenes in the movie, like the obvious ones. The auditorium at the end, and this isn't like a big spoiler or anything, so you don't have to worry. But like when he's in the auditorium and he's like totally disassociating and processing, that was like a perfect, like weird dissociative anxiety thing on screen, perfectly shown. And also I really liked, well, also like Robert Downey Jr., incredible, but I really liked all the courtroom stuff and in just this small little back room, office room where he's being interrogated, but the way it would cut away and the way it would tie in his former relationships, I thought it was really, really well done and shocking. I honestly think it was one of Nolan's better films, like straight up. I didn't like Tenet. I feel horrible saying that. Like I really liked some of the cool action and ideas, but overall didn't really think too much after I saw it. But Oppenheimer, very happy with. Also, late to the party, but Dungeons and Dragons, that movie's really good. I loved it. I walked away being like, that was a good time at the movies. It's streaming now. Damn, I just loved it. I'm like a novice to Dungeons and Dragons. You didn't really need to know anything going in. It's just a fun, swashbuckling heist adventure with fantasy characters, and it was really funny. I know a lot of people are growing tired of like the MCU and like cringy dialogue and quippy stuff, and we've called it out in multiple video games recently, like Immortals of Avium, but this is how it's done right, where it's not just like a movie where everybody's trying to be quippy. It's like kind of written out more like an actual comedy. And that made me so happy. It was so entertaining. It had a good actual emotional through line, got teary-eyed at the end, but actually had some genuine laughs throughout. And visually, it was cool. Like really, really cool. I cannot recommend it enough, honestly. I'm going to watch it again because, damn, I really hope they make a sequel. I really hope this continues to be a thing, but we're going to have to wait and see. Food Toast asks, how are you doing, Jake? Wow, thank you. Nobody's ever really asked that. I'm doing all right. I am currently binging through a massive video game to review. You probably know what it is, so there's that. I'm a little tired. I'm still moving in, so it's like in between everything, I'm still scrambling to do other things. Like in between work shifts, I'm like putting up these lights and everything and still unpacking out of boxes and painting and fucking putting up shelves and stuff. Yeah, you do what you can. I'm doing all right, so thank you. KC Portable Gamer says, my question is, what's your take on the possibility of Nintendo Switch 2 leaks? Nintendo has a history of doing their own thing. I was just wondering what you think about it. I think for a while it was like, wow, really? Another Nintendo Switch? But now if you think about it, like the timeline, like it's time. It's definitely time for an updated Nintendo Switch. We've had that thing for a while now, and it could definitely use a little oomph behind it. I am really hoping that they do a sequel to the Nintendo Switch, an upgrade. I don't want Nintendo to yet go back to the drawing board and rethink everything and come up with a new quirk that changes how we play or like a gimmick or whatever. I want just a Nintendo Switch again, but better. I love Nintendo Switch. I think they really just cracked the code perfectly. I'm happy that the rumors are suggesting that they're still doing like a portable thing and a docked thing because I play both ways. I like that flexibility. As like a person who plays on other consoles and PC more, the only thing I would want, and I don't know if this is like, I would like it for like, obviously when it's handheld, sacrifices need to be made, but I would love for it to be when you plug it in and dock it, there is like significant upgrade to the tech visual graphical experience. That's Nintendo isn't always about graphics first, I know, but that's what I would like to see as a person who likes docking their Steam Deck, just messing around with handhelds and stuff. But like I would play more Nintendo games sitting down if they looked a little bit better on my nice TV, like Tears of the Kingdom, obviously graphically art design, visual colors, great, but it's looking a little rough here and there. So Mr. Roshinator says, hope you're loving the new house. What's the coolest thing you found while moving that you forgot you had? I actually had another, so I thought I only had one Game Boy Color Metal Gear Solid. I found another one in my storage, and that was like a nice win. So eventually I will do that Metal Gear Solid collection. Yes. Also, really just like random treasure trove shit of like me doing this for a long time, coming across old badges for conventions or weird little press events or preview events or even artifacts from like YouTube events I went to where like they put me in the same room as like Mr. Beast and MKBHD, like places I don't belong. Just weird memories of like where this job has taken me. I'm not very like open. I'm very like private, so like I don't post every single thing I do, but like I have a lot of cool treasure trove stuff that I was just happy to stumble across. Like I want my attic to be like Nathan Drake's, just like riddled with little artifacts from my adventures throughout the years, but like in a gaming video person way. There's too much to talk about in this video. Again, it's another thing I'm trying to work out, maybe making a video as I move into this space. So keep your eyes peeled. Trutendo G3, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but they ask, what would you like to see in Final Fantasy 17? Should they go back to turn-based or keep trying to perfect action combat? And what kind of themes or settings would you like to see? I think they could do better with the action combat. I really do think that they could go even harder on it and make it better, but I just really, really, really liked the way Final Fantasy VII Remake played. That hybrid playstyle, turn-based action was like perfect. I was really, really happy with that. Couldn't ask for anything better for what I come to for Final Fantasy games. I like them for that RPG kind of turn-based action and how they tweak and iterate and mess around with that. But for themes, that's hard. And that's the thing I love the most about these games. That's what I always look forward to. Off the top of my head, I think I would actually like to see more of a crack at what they were doing with Final Fantasy 15. Where it was more like there were roads and cars and cities and like pedestrians and like something like that, but like crazy, like really like more how it felt with when it was Versus, when it was teased early on. I would love to see them kind of run more on that theme, maybe even lean a little bit more into the real world a little bit. I know that sounds crazy, but if we could get like a real world with fantastical Final Fantasy elements, but also still swords that were also guns. I'm a simple man. Now, before we keep going with this Q&A, let's talk about today's sponsor and specifically learning. As you get older, at least for me personally, it's getting harder to learn stuff. I don't know if my brain is filled or I'm just too focused on work, life, everything like that. It's tough. But thankfully, today's sponsor, Brilliant, makes it easy. When you go to brilliant.org, there are thousands of lessons, from foundational and advanced math to AI, data science, and more. And they add new lessons monthly. And the best thing about Brilliant is that it's practical. It's hands-on, like you learn by doing. Instead of just making you memorize facts or formulas, Brilliant comes up with smart ways to walk you through how things actually work so your brain can understand it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Can I say? So I'm learning programming. I've been accessing it both on the desktop and on my phone, and little by little, Brilliant makes these fun, clever games to kind of show me how coding works at a base level. And it's just been like a mental thing. It's been making me feel good. It feels nice to accomplish something. They have XP and leaderboards, so it can kind of be like a game for you. It's engaging, and Brilliant really seems focused on the fact that like if people just get a little bit of a taste of this, they'll be hooked. And I agree with that after using it for like 2 months now. So it helps the show, and you should check it out. You can get your 30-day free trial started by clicking the link in the description down below or going to brilliant.org/onjake. And the first 200 people that click the link will get 20% off their annual subscription. So that's a win. Brilliant.org/onjake. Click it down below, and big thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring these videos. Van Gogh, I think you're doing like a spin on that. Sorry, again, I'm butchering people's names. I'm trying my best. How do you balance the nonstop gaming with personal relationships? I feel like I'm in hot water with my partner or even certain friends if I'm not limiting my gaming time and find that I need to intentionally schedule gaming windows unless everyone else is already busy. I always just was blissfully like, nah, it's not a big deal, it's a big deal. But as I get older, I'm like, damn, this is hard. And I don't even have kids. And it's still like, you still have to like make time. And for me, I do have the benefit of part of it being my job. I have a lot of other things. Like I still edit, I still write, I still send emails. Like I do all other work stuff, but a chunk of it is playing games for long periods of time to beat them for deadlines and shit like that. So I do have the benefit of it being my job. I always have that excuse, like it brings some food on the table. But even still with that, like when I want to just like endlessly play whatever the hell I want to play that's not like a work game for a while, like Civ or something like that, like it's still hard to find time. And unfortunately, I don't have an answer. All I can give you is that like there are other people. I know it's not just me. And there's a lot of people out there, whether it's you, a significant other, you, your parents, you, your kids, whoever you are, whatever your age you are, it is hard. And all I've tried to do, my only advice, I guess, is not to put too much pressure on it because you never want it to like fuck with your flow of like playing and doing the thing you love. You know, you got to just kind of take it one day at a time, play what you can when you can. You know, It's hard. Treat it as an always like TBA or TBC, to be continued, that type of thing. Dembo's Kid says, what are your thoughts on the overall video game market, aka games coming out incomplete, lack of passion, microtransactions? So this is an unpopular opinion, and a lot of people think I'm biased because this is like my job. Like I hope the game industry does well because then I still have things to talk about, right? I do think the state of games is all right. I think obviously financially it is doing incredibly well. Not even just from like games with microtransactions making money, but also like just games that we don't even talk about. Fortnite, esports, all this crazy shit going on, people playing separate gaming worlds that I don't even touch, or some of you may not even interface with, are thriving, let alone ours. I still think there's work to be done with like more games coming out that I want to see, just regular old single player, traditional action adventure games where we used to get tons and tons of them every year. Now we only get a few. But yeah, I think the microtransaction stuff and some of the real sketchy stuff was at its worst a couple of years ago when people really pushed back. I still think like Battlefront 2 was really bad, and I'm happy that was like a big point, like a big apex for that stuff where I think everybody learned on both sides. And I think that more and more like games coming out incomplete is a worrying thing for the last couple of years. I don't know if you can blame it all on the pandemic. I think some is just like things being rushed to market regardless, and that is not good. And I make sure to call that out, especially with PC ports, where like the PC version of every game for the first like week or the first month just is like fucked up. It's so annoying. It makes my job more annoying. Like, it's like, can we just get better at that? PC market is huge. PC market is the best it's ever been. So you'd like to see something better there. But again, that goes back to my point. More people are gaming on PC than ever. It's accessible. Parts are easy to acquire. It's a thriving thing. There are more good games releasing every year. I know people don't want to hear that. People say there are no games anymore, no good games anymore. I hear it in comments all the time, but I think that is like objectively false, unless it's like you only like one or two genres and you're not getting games in your favorite genres. Yeah, you're going to think that there are no good games anymore. But if you look at everything releasing, I mean, overwhelmingly just right now, like Armored Core, people are loving. Baldur's Gate 3, great, lengthy, interesting, well-made, commendable in so many aspects. Sea of Stars just dropped. I'm looking at the reviews right here. Crushing. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. That's just in the last couple of weeks. Like, there's a lot. There's so much to play. There's still so much to catch up on. People are still playing through Final Fantasy 16. There's a lot out there. This was a good year, I think, for releases. A lot of good, memorable stuff. So my answer is like my thoughts on the overall video game market. It's like there's still some bad, but there's a lot of great. But I'm also a glass half full type of guy. Spectre 8 says, have you ever cosplayed as Solid Snake or any other Metal Gear character? Would you do it for your channel for a video this Halloween? It's funny you asked that because back in the day, I did a collaboration with Chris Stuckman, friend of the show, the movie reviewer. You know the movie reviewer gang, like Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman. I love those guys. I never get to see them enough anymore, and I miss them. But yeah, many years ago, Chris and I did a Metal Gear collaboration, and he dressed as Big Boss, and I dressed as Solid Snake. I smoked a cigarette. It made me, but we'll play a little bit on screen here.
Call me Big Boss.
Wait, I'm Snake, the legendary Solid Snake.
Well, Mr. Legendary Solid, what's that you got in your mouth there?
A cigarette? I always have my smokes.
Real men smoke cigars.
That was what I got. I tried really hard on the voice. I did what I could. Yeah. Shadows6570 says, do you hope we'll get a new Plague Tale in present day or have the studio move on? I would like them to move on. I like the way Plague Tale 2 ended. I think they could do things, but I like it shut, so to speak. I would really like to see them do something else because, again, I really like these story action adventure games where you play through it and it's like a meal, you know? I want more of those, so I'd love to see their take on something completely different because I think they crushed it with those games. Little flaws here and there, of course, but I just love them. Tommaso911 asks, with graphical fidelity constantly improving, do you think there will be a point at which we will become grossed out by violence in video games, or people will be desensitized by it by the time we achieve this point of super realistic graphics in games? I think it's going to be 50. Some people are going to be, you know, it depends on who you are. It's the same thing with movies. Some people can watch absolutely horrific, nasty, grisly violence in movies, like horrifically realistically portrayed. And some people just opt not to really watch those movies. I think it's going to depend on the game and like how they go with it. Some people, I see it more even now with Mortal Kombat 1. When Mortal Kombat 1 was like first revealed, I did see some people online being like, all right, this is getting to be like really fucking nasty. Which with Mortal Kombat, it's Mortal Kombat. They should go as insane as possible. Like, let's get in trouble again. I don't like back in the day, Mortal Kombat pushed things. It made politicians scared. It made parents scared. Laws had to be passed and everything. Like they tried. So let's push it harder. Let's do it again. And in Mortal Kombat, it's cartoonish. It's over the top. But I do wonder about stuff like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that campaign when you were like raiding a house and there were like civilians there and like you're dropping people and they're dropping like stones, like they're dying like real people. That stuff is pretty weird. It's just eerie, you know? We talked a couple of months back about that game Unrecord, that like found footage, like body cam, like police body cam style first person shooter. That can bother people too. And I don't think like that people are wrong by being bothered by any of that. But it's interesting. I do think there's always going to be some little bit of a level of disconnect, some sort of thing where it's like still fake, so it doesn't totally because in a lot of movies, like they use a lot of practical stuff and they're like tossing sausage, you know, in like red paint, and because it's tangible and it's real, it can gross you out a little more. I don't know if video games will ever get to that point of like tangibility, that realness, but we'll see how it goes. People are going to continue to push the bounds and innovate. There are nerds out there way smarter than us at making this stuff, and I don't know. I like to see it. Joey Berg 1785 says developers have their niche and know what they are good at, but if companies were to collaborate more with each other to fine-tune their weaknesses, what two AAA type companies would you like to see work with each other, and what type of game would you want them to make? That's interesting. So you see it a little bit here and there, like id Software had helped out with, like Microsoft actually kind of allows studios to kind of come in and help out with things like that, like improving first-person shooting for certain games, graphic stuff, like the Coalition Gears people have helped with graphical stuff on other games. I like seeing stuff like that, and I'd like to see more of that. I think off the top of my head, I feel like, and I don't want this to sound like I'm a hater or anything, but I would love to see Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions collaborate with another studio that, for two reasons, to address my biggest complaints with Hideo Kojima games, and they are special still because of this, but someone who can edit things down, make it a little bit more cohesive, comprehensive. I'm talking about specifically Death Stranding, and also just help with the pacing of it, because like I like the way Death Stranding had some innovative weird gameplay focused around walking, but like I just wish it was kind of presented better or like structured better, like instead of just talking to random holograms. But what I would also really like to see, like we were talking about Final Fantasy before, like it's cool that they brought in some Devil May Cry combat people, but I would love to see like Platinum help make a Final Fantasy game. Like if we are going to go on the action combat thing, let's get them to take a crack at it. Super Silver Panda says, love that Sam Lake mod for Max Payne 3. It's so good. Look it up. Do you ever replay games with mods, or do you like to keep everything vanilla? I'm not as exciting as you might think. I'm more into modding like Bethesda games, like modding Skyrim, messing around with that. But really, I don't usually get too crazy. I don't have time. I usually have to beat a game and move on. So it takes a while for me to actually like go back to a game and mess with it. I'm more into the mod community for refining and improving things. Max Payne 3 being a little better on PC. Metal Gear Solid 1, thanks to the community, there are so many great ways to play it on PC, where it looks better than any emulation. Even the new Master Collection that's coming out, like that's not going to look that great. The PC community has done such a good job with really cleaning that up. Tony Hawk, specifically with Thug Pro, that's more of the stuff I go into, just like alternative ways to play things I already love, and not just like putting CJ or like Macho Man in every game. It's fun. I love it. I love the content and shit. But I think what I'm trying to say is I'm into quality over quantity. I'm more about like refining the gameplay and the visuals than anything else. But thankfully, the beauty of it is that there's just so many options and so many ways for people to play games, accessibility wise, or just make everybody Spider-Man. And that's the magic of the community. And I Love that. But that was another Q&A. I gotta get going. I gotta start making some other videos and finish this place. So let me know what you think in the comments about my weird hot takes and all that stuff. Let me know what you think about Barbenheimer. What do you think about Oppenheimer specifically? Did you love it as much as I did? And of course, with all the video games, the state of the video game industry, let's talk about this stuff. And again, you can leave questions down here for me to answer on the next one. This is where I go. So thank you guys for being here. If you've sat around and listened to me talk this long, I appreciate that so much. That's crazy. Thank you for being here. And thank you to YouTube memberships and Patreon backers for supporting me. But thank you all for watching, liking, commenting, all that stuff. Thank you. I'm Jake Baldino. See you guys next time. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.